really want to do a cool entrance, like spinning on my chair, like, hello. That was terrible. Hello, I hope everyone had a super good new year. Just before New Year, I put a post on my Instagram asking people for things that they wish they were taught when they were younger, or things that they're too embarrassed to ask. And people ask like so many things, like how to insert a tampon, how to on a condom, how to wash intimate areas, how to shave intimate areas, and a whole host of different things. And I thought, I'm just gonna show you. Not all of them in this video, just one of them in this video. Let me scoot closer. Today, I'm gonna show you how to put a tampon in. And no, I'm not gonna actually put a tampon in. I feel like that didn't need to be said, but possibly does need to be said as well. But I'm gonna do a demonstration technically of how to correctly insert a tampon. For anyone who has a vulva and vagina, keep watching. The tampons that I currently have on hand are my Tampax Pearl Regular and Tampax Pearl Super. The difference in these is literally just how much they absorb. But a common misconception is that tampons are based on the size of your vagina, and that is not true. It's based on how much you flow. So if you have a lighter flow, then you would use light or regular. If you have a heavier flow, you would use super or super plus. It is nothing to do with the size of your vagina, okay? I promise. But for the purpose of this video, we're gonna use the regular just to show you, because the super I use at the start of my period, like the first day, and then the next couple of days, regular. More often than not, I use pads just because I don't like using tampons. Tampons actually make your period last a little bit longer, or they can make your period last a little bit longer. For me, I find that if I use just pads, my period lasts between 3 and 5 days, where if I use tampons, it can last all the way up to 8 days. But that's just me, that's not a fact, that's not like something that happens to everybody, it is just however your body is. Zero's got his hands on the tampon right now. The first thing you want to do when you have your tampons is wash your hands. If you are a person with a vulva, you know that you are so easily prone to yeast infections and thrush and things like that, because your pH balance can get thrown off by such a small tiny amount of bacteria. It can even get thrown off by certain types of underwear, and you don't want to risk any type of contamination. So the first thing you want to do is wash your hands, and we're going to go and do that now. So we're going to wet them and do up to your wrists. After you've washed your hands thoroughly, you want to get comfortable in a position that is comfy for you. This is complete personal preference. If you are comfier sat down, lay down, stood up, whatever it may be, then you do that. Don't think, oh, I feel like it's more normal to do it this way. It is irrelevant. For me, I personally prefer to sit down because it's more comfortable for me and I can get a better angle that way, but I know a lot of people do prefer to stand up, and some people even prefer to lie down. Play about with it. Try every time you use your tampon, try a different position to see what works best for you. There is absolutely no shame in doing that. But if you are sat down, you want to sit with your, I will have to move my camera down. So if you're going to be sat down, you want to sit on the edge, don't sit at the back. So if you're sat like this and you open your legs to put the tampon in, it's going to be too much of a hassle. So you want to sit on the edge, whether it be a toilet, whether it be your bed, whether it be a computer chair. So you sit on the edge and you can either lean back or lean forward. I personally prefer to lean a little bit forward so I can see what I'm doing. And then you open your legs. It doesn't have to be super wide. It can literally be as wide as this, just so you've got space for your hand to be moving around here. I don't know how best to do this demonstration, I'm so sorry. You want to sit, you can have your legs this way, you can have them like super wide open, it's completely up to you. And if you're standing up, you would put your leg up. Do you like my cow slippers? You would put your leg up on a surface like so, just so you can then lean your dominant hand on this if you need to, or you can just have a little bit more area and access. I really hope that that made some form of sense. So once you are in a comfortable position, you can then obviously open the tampon. So this is the barrel, this is the tube that goes inside of the vagina, and then this bit stays outside. If you don't have a compact, this bit will be a little bit longer. So what you want to do is open this until it clicks. So then it's stiff and it doesn't like move. So if you don't have a compact, yours will already come like this. The way you want to hold it is with your dominant hand, which for me is my right hand, and you want to hold it between your thumb and your middle finger on this part here. So your thumb and your middle finger will be here like this. So like you're going to throw a dart. And then you take your index finger and you put it on the end where the string is coming out, just here. And that is so when you put it in, This bit you do not touch with your fingers. Obviously I've touched this during the demonstration, but that's just, I'm not going to be inserting this into my vagina. But you do not touch this barrel because then it's contaminated and you'll have to get a fresh tampon. So make sure your fingers are on this part here and then your index finger is just here. This part is completely optional. I think it's a lot easier to do it this way, but then you can use your non-dominant hand or your other hand if you're ambidextrous, and you use your fingers, whatever way you want to do it, to open your labia so that you can get a clear view of the entrance to your vagina. You can use a mirror if you want to as well. Remember, it's your vagina, you are allowed to look at it, but you want to like open the folds of skin, which would be your lips and your labia, to like whatever way is comfortable with your hand. This part is completely optional. Some people can just literally pop it in. Other people struggle and need the additional support of the other hand, and if you do, that is completely fine. Once you are like open and you're comfortable and you've got your tampon ready, do not insert it up. You want to insert it at an angle aiming towards your back. So if your like vagina is here, okay, we're at an angle, right? We don't want to insert it like this and we don't want to insert it like this. It wants to be on an angle like so. I always view it as it going towards my tailbone. So my tailbone is here, and you want to insert the tampon as if you are aiming to your tailbone. If I'm not explaining this correctly, please just comment and I will try my best to explain it again. But once you have got the angle correctly, the way you want to push, so you've got it at an angle going towards your tailbone, this entire barrel should be inserted into the vagina. So your whole barrel is in here and then this part stays out. So you don't want it this way and you don't want it straight up, you want it at an angle. Whilst you're holding it like this, so your fingers would be pressed against the entrance to your vagina, and you want to push with your index finger all the way until your finger then touches the inside of the barrel. And then this way the tampon is up right where it needs to be, near your cervix, and then you just pull this part of the barrel out, and then your tampon would be sat inside and you would just have the string down, and this string will be visible. So this is how you're gonna like pull it out. You can move the string when you use a toilet and stuff like that if you want to, or you can remove the tampon and use a fresh one when you use a toilet. It is completely personal preference. Don't ever use a tampon for longer than 8 hours. I know some people do. The risk of toxic shock syndrome increases the longer you leave your tampon in, but do not be afraid to use tampons for toxic shock syndrome. Tampons do not cause toxic shock syndrome. It is a bacteria that's part of staph and it can happen to anybody. It is just more prominent in people who do use tampons, but it doesn't mean that tampons cause it, and it is very, very, very rare. As long as you are changing your tampon regularly, you're washing your hands before you put it in and after you take it out, or before you take it out, then you will be fine. So once the tampon is in, you can keep it in for 4 to 6 hours is usually the recommended time. And to take the tampon out, if you're going to try and pull it out when it isn't soaked through, it will be a little bit uncomfortable, but it should not be painful. So when you pull it out, you just want to grab the string between your thumb and index finger and you just gently tug. And when you tug, it will just pull out like so. And then you can dispose of this by wrapping it either in tissue and putting it in the bin, or you can get like disposable packets that you can put your tampons in. Yeah, that's how you take the tampon out. You literally just pull it out and it will slide out like relatively easily as long as it is soaked through. If it isn't soaked through, it might be a little bit uncomfortable. If you put the tampon in and you can feel it, you've inserted it wrong. And what you want to do is take the tampon out gently and try again with a new fresh tampon. Do not try putting the tampon in that you've just taken out, as it will have touched the area, be full of bacteria, and you don't want to reinsert that. You want to use a fresh one. Another common misconception with tampons is that they can take your virginity, and again, that is not true. Mostly because virginity is a social construct, and what a lot of people mean by it can take your virginity is it can break your hymen, which is the thin layer of skin or thin layer of tissue. You can honestly break your hymen by doing exercise. You can break your hymen just through changing your weight, your like lifestyle. It could just break like randomly by itself. Using a tampon is purely to use during your periods. It is nothing to do with sex, therefore it cannot take your virginity. Just in case anyone is being told that tampons take your virginity, that's not true. That isn't accurate. I feel like I've covered everything I probably haven't, and if I haven't, please comment what I didn't mention, and I am so sorry if any of this didn't make any sense, but I tried my best and I hope that it was helpful to somebody. And know that it doesn't matter what age you are, if you struggle to use tampons or don't know how to use tampons, that is not an embarrassing thing, that is not something to be ashamed of. So I figured I would be the person to show you, and whether I showed you correctly or not is up for debate, but I'm hoping that it was somewhat helpful. And if you liked the video, you can give it a thumbs up and comment different things that you maybe want answers to. With all that being said, I would super appreciate it if you could share this video, or if you could subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post, because I'm really wanting people to do that, just cause. I hope everyone has a super good day, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of January. Bye!